Most investors spend their entire lives searching for complex financial formulas, secret market signals, and advanced equations to predict the future, completely missing the quiet, invisible trapdoor that allows a single business to dominate for decades. Charlie Munger knew a secret that almost everyone else ignores. True wealth isn't built on how fast a company grows, but on how difficult it is for anyone else to take its place. If you have ever wondered why some companies effortlessly print cash while others bleed money despite brilliant management, the answer doesn't lie in their marketing, their products, or even their genius founders. It lies in an economic fortress, a moat so wide and deep that competitors break their swords just trying to reach the walls. Over the next few minutes, we are going to tear down the illusion of ordinary business success and look deep inside the mechanical blueprints of the most enduring wealth engines in human history. If you want to understand how the greatest minds in investing separate temporary winners from permanent empires, stay right here, because what you are about to discover will completely change the way you look at every business around you. We live in a world obsessed with speed, disruption, and constant reinvention. But if you sit quietly in the back room of a Berkshire Hathaway annual meeting, you quickly realize that Charlie Munger cared very little about what was new. Instead, he spent his entire life studying what refuses to change. While everyday investors chase the shiny new object, the next big trend, the roaring startup, the viral product, Munger looked at commerce through the cold, unyielding lens of evolutionary biology and industrial gravity. He understood a fundamental truth that most people spend a lifetime unlearning: competition is a disease. In a free market, high profits act like raw meat dropped into a shark-infested ocean. The moment a business discovers a way to make high returns on capital, hungry competitors swarm in from every direction, slashing prices, copying features, and driving profit margins straight down toward zero. It is the law of economic gravity. Everything that goes up must eventually face the crushing weight of market competition, unless the business has built something extraordinary, something that defies gravity. Something that makes competitors look at the market, look at the costs, look at the sheer impossibility of the task, and quietly walk away. That something is an economic moat, and Charlie Munger had a very specific way of defining it. A moat is not just a temporary advantage, like a faster computer or a clever marketing campaign. A moat is a moat because it acts like a castle wall surrounded by boiling oil, keeping predators entirely at bay year after year, decade after decade. Think about the businesses you interact with every single day. You wake up, check your phone, drive to work, buy a cup of coffee, use software on your computer, and pay for utilities. To the untrained eye, these are just products and services. To a forensic financial analyst, they are battlegrounds. Most of them are locked in brutal, bloody trench warfare where companies fight tooth and nail for every penny of profit, constantly terrified that tomorrow a cheaper, faster competitor will wipe them out. But every once in a while, you stumble upon an entirely different species of business. A business that doesn't seem to fight at all. A business where customers walk through the doors willingly, pay whatever price is asked, and never even look at an alternative. How does that happen? How does a mere corporate entity achieve this level of sovereign immunity in a world as cutthroat as modern capitalism? The answer begins with understanding the hidden architecture of human habits and structural economics. When Munger looked at a company, he didn't start with the income statement. He started with human nature. He knew that humans are creatures of habit, of least resistance, and of deep psychological friction. We hate change. We fear risk. We trust what we already know. And when a business manages to entrench itself directly into these primal psychological grooves, it stops being a product and becomes an infrastructure of daily life. Consider the sheer psychological cost of switching. Imagine you run a massive global enterprise and your entire financial accounting, human resources, and supply chain management run on a specific software system. It is expensive. It is complicated. Your employees spent years learning how to navigate its quirks. Now imagine a startup comes along and offers you a similar system at half the price. Any logical spreadsheet jockey would say, switch immediately, cut costs, boost margins. But what actually happens in the real world? Nothing. The executives stay put. Why? Because the risk of a catastrophic data error, a missed payroll, or a supply chain collapse during a messy software migration far outweighs the short-term savings. The switching cost acts like invisible barbed wire. The customer is locked inside a fortress of their own operational complexity, and the company providing the software, they hold the keys. They can raise prices, adjust terms, and sit back comfortably, knowing that leaving them is simply too painful to contemplate. This is not just business strategy, it is psychological engineering applied on a massive scale. And once you start seeing these invisible locks, you begin to realize that the most powerful moats are rarely built with concrete and steel. They are built inside the human mind and woven directly into the operational fabric of society. Yet, building a high switching cost is only the first layer of the fortress. What happens when a business doesn't just lock you in, but actually becomes more valuable the more people use it? This is where the magic of compounding network effects takes over. Imagine being the very first person on Earth to own a telephone. Your device is completely useless. You can call nobody. The technology is brilliant, the engineering is flawless, but the value to you is zero. Now, imagine you are the millionth person to buy that phone. Suddenly, your world opens up. Every single person, business, and family member you might ever want to reach is already inside the network. The value of the product didn't increase because the company added a new feature or painted it a different color. It increased purely because everyone else showed up. This is the ultimate economic superpower. When a network effect takes hold, a self-reinforcing loop is born. More users attract more value attracts more users, and the gap between the dominant player and every aspiring competitor grows into an unbridgeable canyon. Think about how terrifying that is for a new entrant. Even if a brilliant young entrepreneur builds a platform that is technically superior in every single way, they face a crushing, insurmountable wall. Nobody is on it yet. And because nobody is on it, nobody joins. The incumbent wins not necessarily because they are better today, but because they won yesterday. Munger understood this deeply. He often talked about how the world is dominated by winner-take-all dynamics, where the leading player captures nearly all the economic rewards while the runner-up fights over scraps, regardless of how hard they try. It is a sobering realization for anyone who believes that pure hustle and hard work are enough to conquer any market. In business, position beats talent every single day of the week. If you are standing at the center of the economic web, gravity works for you. If you are standing on the outside looking in, fighting gravity is an exhausting, expensive, and ultimately fatal endeavor. This leads us to a profound question that every serious observer of wealth must ask. If these moats are so obvious in hindsight, why do so many smart investors and ambitious companies fail to build them? Because building a true moat requires immense patience, deliberate restraint, and a willingness to look foolish in the short term while playing a very long, multi-decade game. Most corporate executives are trapped on a quarterly treadmill. They are judged by analysts on 3-month earnings reports, pressured to cut corners, pump up margins, and squeeze every drop of immediate profit out of their operations. In contrast, the architects of legendary businesses are willing to sacrifice short-term gains to build impenetrable walls that will protect them 30 years down the road. They understand that true pricing power, the ultimate test of an economic moat, is not a gift you demand from customers. It is a privilege you earn through years of unwavering trust, unmatched reliability, and deep structural indispensability. When a company can raise its prices right through inflation, economic downturns, and market panics without losing a single loyal customer, you are no longer looking at a standard commercial enterprise. You are looking at a toll booth on human commerce. And Charlie Munger spent his entire life searching for those toll booths. As you look around at the modern landscape of business, ask yourself a simple question. Are you looking at companies that are desperately running faster and faster just to stay in the same place? Or are you looking at the rare few who have built castles, pulled up the drawbridge, and let time do the heavy lifting?